definitely, I can see where, there's a lot in this platform. Obviously you have to take some time and get used to it. And, like you said, read through the books, kind of understand what's the blue label versus the white label, and where an instructor would really need to start with. What are some of the other, I guess, most asked questions when it comes to a new instructor? Like what do people reach out to your, instructional support team the most, or your customer service team?
So one is a student forgets their passwords. That'll pop up a lot of times. We get questions of how do I download my certificates? They can't find that at times. And some of the scenarios that I mentioned to you are kind of things that we run into when they're a newer teacher. But to kind of show you the password side of things, an instructor has to have their students connected to them in order for this to work. But as long as a teacher has students tied to them, they can come into a section, and we have to go to the tracking area to be able to do this in order to be able to pick the student. But if they forget their password, we can come in, locate the student in our tracking, and then there'll be a little button off to the right once the page loads up. It's a little gearbox. And we can click the actions button and then just change password and put in a new password and then save. Once you've saved the password, you can provide that to the student. If they're still not able to log in, it could be a possibility that their username isn't correct. And at that point, to access the username of the student, if you hover over their name, it'll have like a little pop-up that'll come up and give you that username for that learner. But the password, that's one thing. Certificates is another thing that pops up a lot. Eric, my kids have all passed. I have rewards night with my parents. I'd like to download their certificates. Right now, I can only have my students provide them to me. It's a really popular thing that they say. My kids are giving them to me. We have to be in the tracking area of the instructor tools of the group we're working with. And we have to click the analytics certificates button. All we have to do at this point when we're here is check this button off up at the top left of the list, hit the little drop down button, and download the certificates as PDF. And what it'll do is it'll actually download only the individuals that have passed the exam certificate for you to be able to print all of the success that everybody had.
Yeah, I know we're just scratching the surface here in this conversation around kind of the best practices or things that new instructors can be aware of. Eric, if anyone is a new instructor, I mean, do you offer webinars or trainings for them, or is that kind of per request?
So one of my team models is if they're not successful, we're not successful. It's hard to keep a customer if they're not doing well. Mm-hmm. The problem behind it all is we don't know when they're struggling if they're not communicating with us. So I don't like playing that big vendor mentality game where here's your material, see you later. Oh, you didn't buy your training, too bad. Yes, you are going to have to do a little bit of work, to get yourself on the content, but we're here to help you understand the system and try to guide you and keep you in between the white and yellow lines as much as we absolutely possibly can. I just tell any instructor, if you're working with me or any of my other sales rep, if you need some support, just give us some days and times that work best for you. And one of our teammates will be able to jump in if we're not available to help and so forth. But we do have a contact sheet that we have for anybody that's actually in the classroom and needs some help or guidance. Please don't hesitate to reach out to Yvonne, Mike, or Jordan. I tell everybody this phone number and the prep order email address will reach Yvonne, Mike, and Jordan. I like using that personally because one of them may take a day off and you emailed them, then you're waiting. While if we use this email, anybody could be able to reach it. It's kind of a first come, first serve for them, whoever grabs it.
We laid out a nice bit of information here for a new instructor, right? Some of the obstacles and challenges they may face. Some of the questions that they usually ask when it comes to kind of tracking a student. Oh, a student forgot their password, how to do that. What are some of the other pain points that we have here? I know there's a lot to this, and again, we're just scratching the surface, but what would you say is some other big pain points or frequently asked questions?
So reporting is a big thing that comes up when you're a newer instructor. There's a lot of buttons. There's a lot of features that are available to an instructor. I have a joke that I tell with everybody. It's there's a lot of buttons on there that are extra, and I don't mean, send me money extra. It's if you don't utilize them, you can still be successful. But if you can adapt to learn all of the features that this platform has, you can do some really amazing stuff. From a reporting side of things, once we're in the tracking area of the instructor tools, we have the ability to see when the last time students were in. This first screen that always pops up, sometimes teachers think, okay, we're at an 81%, let's go certify. And we should never try to use this screen here as the judgment for readiness. We really need to kind of go in and zoom into what are they doing practice-wise. The system lets me look at and click on any of these results on a student and see how many times they've taken an attempt on an exam. I can even zoom in even further, and I can click the actions button and go to results, and it'll tell me how much time they took to pass the exam. 20 question exam in 4 minutes. It's just somebody trying to fly through an assessment, in my opinion. We need to put a little bit more time into digesting the questions. And that could be a reason why the success is still not there in this example. But there's some really good ways to monitor students independently. But in a lot of times, my teachers are really busy. They, to go in a classroom of 30 plus students or 20 students and go one by one on attempts, it's canceled dinner plans kind of thing. There's a really cool report called Analytics, Test Analytics, where an instructor can come in and take the last attempt on any of the practice or any assessment, and it'll let the instructor know how is the class performing by question. So anything that's like, let's say 65% or less, it's a class situation. We need to go back and review. And this report is just one of the best reports an instructor can use because it tells you who's right and wrong, but the important stuff. Where's the topic? What's the details we need to go back and discuss, because that's what's making the students miss the question. But those are kind of the areas they're like, well, how do I go see their result? And that's how you would kind of go in and access this stuff. If I was a new teacher, those were kind of going to be the hurdles that I would have if I was going in. And many times in those webinars that teacher requests, that's kind of what they're asking about is, well, how do I do the reporting, or how do I find my students, or what do I get teacher resource wise, and where is it? Things like that.